Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Crowd Share Podcast. Today, I'm sure you're expecting to see a college football or NFL video since the football season is officially underway. It feels so good to finally be able to say that. But no, we still have a little bit of some MLB left to go. So this is the August review for the MLB. I'm not going to do really a September review. I might do like a end of year review because I don't know if there's any games in October, but like regular season games that is. Um, I think there's actually maybe a few. I don't know. There might be like one. Um, yeah, there is actually. I think. Yeah, there's gonna be a couple games in October. But I'm not going to be doing this is going to be the last regular season review for the MLB as by the time October rolls around it's going to be playoff time. So and actually that'll be perfect. So that Monday I will be actually that'll be right when I come back. Um, so when I on October 2nd, if you're a really big baseball fan, you love baseball on here. October 2nd will be two separate videos for the MLB. One just straight up reviewing the season, just for like all the teams, how the season went. You know, that's the regular season in general, how it went, what can they think for next year, or, obviously, if they're in the playoffs, how well did that go? Are they where they think they should be? Anyway, it's just going to be a review of the year, and then the other video will be a playoff prediction video, obviously, for playoff predictions. But anyways, now that that's all out of the way, obviously more football videos will be coming too. Those should be. I'm gonna be posting this tonight, so there'll be football videos tomorrow. Um, so we start with the American League here. And first, we start with the American League East, and we have a pretty nasty. We have some really big surprises at the top of this division. And we start with the Baltimore Orioles at 86 and 51. What an incredible season that they have been having. What a year it's been for them. They continue to win time and time again. Whoops, that's not what I said. But time and time again, these guys continue to win and continue to blow everybody's mind. I mean, you look at their pitching staff and you look at it and you're just like, yeah, there's no really stars on this team. Like Reyes Rodriguez is a big time prospect, but he hadn't really panned out. They traded for Jack Flaherty at the trade deadline to try and help their pitching staff because it was considered their weakness, and he hasn't really contributed all that much. So you really look at the Orioles and you're like, well, where's all their production coming from? Yes, they have a good offense, but they need pitching, and it hasn't mattered. I mean, I mean, you look at their record, you look at their last 10 games. I mean, it has meant absolutely nothing. They have been utterly fantastic, and they haven't stopped winning. And it's absolutely unbelievable how good that they've been. I mean, this is a team that was expected to be bottom feeders in this division, and here they are atop of the division, and the way they're playing, they're looking like they're about to win it. I mean, the only team that can catch them pretty much is the team right behind them, and we'll talk about them next. But what a fantastic year for the Baltimore Orioles. Going from bottom feeder and maybe in borderline bottom feeder in the league to now top dog in the league. I mean, really impressive turnaround for the Orioles. Then for the team right behind them, not many people expected too much out of them, and here they are with a fantastic record at 83 and 55. The Tampa Bay Rays. What a year! What a start to the year they had. And they kind of cooled off for a little bit, but for the most part, they have kept up their really impressive season, as you can clearly tell with 83 and 55. That is a absurdly good record. Um, and they have been every bit as good as the Orioles. I mean, they obviously have an even bigger run differential. Their offense has been utterly fantastic, and their pitching staff, they've had some injuries, but their pitching staff is still really good. This is another really, really talented team that the Rays have just been top notch in just about everything. Once again, a great season for them. There are a lot of people who thought maybe the Rays would be like a borderline wild card team, and people thought they would be at least they would still make the playoffs possibly. But there weren't a lot of people that were saying, this team's going to have one of the top records in baseball. But here they are, 83-55. What? I mean, that's one of the top records, and that's the second best. Spoiler: that's the second best record in the American League. Really impressive year for them. Of course, they're stuck behind the Baltimore Orioles, but still an impressive year for Tampa. I don't think if you're the Rays, you could ask for much more. Um, what a season that they've been having, and what a surprise year for them. And then you have the Toronto Blue Jays at 76 and 62. They are probably where people expect them to be in the playoff race. Maybe a little bit lower, but I think a lot of people expected the Blue Jays to find themselves smack dab in the middle of this division somewhere. That's kind of where they are. This team has been pretty all around decent. Offense has been solid. The pitching staff has been solid. Really everything for Toronto has kind of just been solid. Nothing has been great. And it's led them to a solid record and has put them in a position to get a wild card spot, maybe. Obviously they got some teams that they need to catch up to, but the Blue Jays are a solid team, and they're not gonna go away without a fight. And Toronto's a hard team to beat, so watch out for the Blue Jays. Obviously, like I said, there's some teams that they still need to catch up to in the wild card race because they're not winning the division. Um, but the Blue Jays have a good chance, and they're right in the middle of the race for the playoffs. So, nice year for Toronto. Then there's Boston at 72 and 66. Bit of a surprise for really them as well. I mean, a lot of people thought they would be the bottom feeders of the league with Baltimore, and they ended up having much better of a season than anybody thought they would. Now, they've kind of been up and down recently as they've had really good stretches and really bad stretches. But still, a 72 and 66 record, that's still better than anybody probably would have thought for them with their enormous lack of pitching and okay hit and good hitting. I mean, they're a good offense, but you look at their pitching staff and you just go, oof. I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, when James Paxton comes back from the IL and actually somehow stays healthy, looks okay for a little bit, and that's your best pitcher, there's something wrong. So, um, honestly, if I'm Boston, you need to find some pitching help. I mean, really. But so far, not a bad year for Boston. They got a long ways to go in the playoff race, but overall, probably a better year for most Red Sox fans. And last, we have surprisingly the New York Yankees at 68 and 69. They're actually below 500. They've actually been way better as of lately, which has brought their record up tremendously since then. But this team was really bad for a while, and their record just was tanking. They lost like 8 or 9 games in a row at one point. I think it was bad, and the Yankees have gone from being in the middle of the playoff race to nowhere even close. They have completely fallen out of contention. Offense has been bad. Defense has been, pitching has been but their offense has been anemic, and they have really fallen off a cliff here. Lately, they've been a lot better, winning 3 straight, 7-3 in their last 10, but they put themselves in a pretty nasty hole, and they're going to have to do a lot in this last month here to try and dig themselves back out of it. Long ways to go for them. So next we have the AL Central, which still remains one of the worst divisions in probably all of baseball. I still have yet to really see a division that's worse than this one. We start with the leader of this pathetic division, and that is the Minnesota Twins at 72 and 66. All these teams actually in this division have like next to no offense. So it's really none of these teams are good. And really, the Twins are just the least bad out of the bunch. And so for Minnesota, their pitching staff actually has been very good. They get heavy strikeouts, and their ERA, as far as I know, I think it still is there as well. Uh, their uh, their ERA is one of their team ERA, like in terms of all their pitchers combined, their team ERA is one of the lowest in the league, which is very impressive. Yeah, they have the most strikeouts out of anybody, and then team ERA. Oh, they have fallen out of the top five now, but I'm sure. Oh, they've dropped down to 10, but they used to be in the top five for team ERA for quite some time. And then in terms of hitting, I actually saw this for the Twins. In terms of homers, they are now number 4 in Major League Baseball in total home runs for the team. So the one thing about the Twins, their pitchers might strike out a ton of people, but their hitters also strike out a ton. And all they do is hit homers. Nobody on their team hits their average, and that is why they kind of get bad stretches. They'll have stretches where they are constantly winning games and just look great, and then they have stretches where they can't win a game and look terrible. So I'm not. This Twins team is not good. Um, they've managed a good enough record to obviously be leading the division by a considerable margin, but that doesn't mean they're a good team. And then we go on to Cleveland at 66 and 72, directly opposite of Minnesota's record. They're just like the Minnesota Twins, except their offense is much worse. In fact, their offense is nearly as bad as ours, and to be able to even say that is bad. The fact that's even possible is insane. But for Cleveland, their offense has completely tanked. I mean, their only production is Jose Ramirez, and they tried to sign in the offseason Josh Bell to help out their offense and get more production, and instead he did nothing, and they traded him away to the Miami Marlins. So I mean, that's a huge loss of an off-season signing that just completely flopped. I mean, you got nothing out of them. And then the pitching staff, like I said, they've been outstanding. Shane Bieber, I don't think is having the greatest of years, but I know they brought up a ton of young guys, and they've all been fantastic. So I mean, their pitching staff is going to be good for some time, and their pitching staff still is very good, but they significantly lack the offensive production, which really weighs their team down considerably. Still 6 games out of the lead for the division, though, so it's not like they're out of the race yet, and especially with how the Twins are, they easily could take the division away. And for some reason, so can the team behind them. And I can't believe I'm even saying that. But the Detroit Tigers sit at 63 and 74. 8.5 games out of the lead for the AL Central. and somehow, some way, still could end up possibly winning this division. And it's not outside of the realm of possibility even. It is legitimately possible. We've won our last four. Of course, we kicked the crap out of the White Sox with that, but that's the White Sox. Um, but the Tigers, the same thing goes. Obviously, I know. Obviously, I'm a huge Tigers fan. Love my Detroit Tigers, even though they suck. Um, but the big problem for this team, obviously, is the offense. That they have no offensive capability. That just none. They've had a couple players who get hot every once in a while, and like nobody else on the team produces at all. I mean, we'll have like Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, and Spencer Torkelson all get hot for a while uh, at different points, and then all of them will collapse at different points. And then their offense will just spiral downward even more. So it just the Tigers really need offensive bats, and they don't have any. And I mean, when you don't have any offensive production, what are you gonna do? When you can't get points on the board, there's not much you can do, and that's the big issue for Detroit. I mean, if they had, I mean, even say maybe they had, um, Minnesota's offense isn't great, but say they even had their offense, they would be winning the division. And that's what's so crazy is if the Tigers even had a competent offense, not even a good one, doesn't have to be good, just a competent offense, they would be winning this division. But because their offense is so bad, this is where they are. And what's so crazy is we could still win this division, and that's how bad the AL Central is. But overall, I mean, I guess I expected the Tigers to be a lot worse. And instead, we've actually been halfway decent, winning, I mean, 63 games at this point. I mean, by the end of the year, we're probably going to surpass 70. So that's honestly pretty good. Um, but it just we still don't have offense. And I mean that problem has been a problem for the Tigers for what seems like ages now. Like we never have an offense. I mean I've watched the Tigers for years. Um, I can't remember the last. I mean the last time you probably had an offense was like 2015. That's like 8 years of just irrelevancy in the offensive category, but that's the issue for the Tigers, and hopefully the young guys that they keep bringing up or that they keep getting will install some life into that offense. Um, and then sitting in fourth is these are the really crappy teams. First, we have the Chicago White Sox at 53 and 85. They have completely thrown in the towel. During the trade deadline, they sent out absolutely everybody, and they just completely gave up. And I mean that's plainly evident. Their play has also been really bad. Um, Chicago, the White Sox have completely given up on this season, and I honestly don't blame them. I mean, with how bad that they have been, the offense has been putrid. Their pitching staff, they strike out a lot of people, and they almost walk as many people as they strike out people, and they strike out a crud ton of people. In fact, they're like one of the league leaders, I think, in strikeouts, and then they're also one of the league leaders in walks. So if that is any indication of how frustrating and annoying their pitching staff can be, uh, if you're a Chicago White Sox fan, because I really don't care, but if you're a Chicago White Sox fan, that I think alone should be able to tell you how really, really frustrating their pitching staff can be. I mean, strikeouts. Yeah, Chicago is still number 4 in strikeouts. That's insane. Um, but yeah, Chicago just really a lost season. I mean, they were supposed to be competing for the division, and instead they're actually more than 11 games behind Detroit. Well, no, they're more than 10. It's not 11. But 10 and a half behind the Tigers. I don't, I don't think that's what the White Sox imagined uh, dealing with, but that's where they are. And then last we have the KC Royals. I don't think I really have to say much about this team. They're obviously bad. And just like the White Sox, they also threw in the towel. I mean, they kind of threw in the towel when the year began. But 43 and 96, you'd think that's the worst record. It's not. Um, but the, the Royals, there's not a lot of talent on this team. And their record kind of shows that. Of course, they have actually been officially eliminated from playoff contention already. Yes, the White Sox actually could still make it if like a miracle happened in this division, but the Royals actually don't have a chance anymore. So, but Kansas City, yeah, guys, I don't think you have to worry about the. If you're in Kansas City, just focus on the Chiefs. They have an opening day game against the Lions. That's more intriguing than watching the Royals continue to lose. Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to really say. I don't even really know what their team has. I mean, I think they still have Sally Perez, but yeah, I don't know anything really else about them. But yeah, that's the Royals. Moving on to the AL West, and this is one of the big highlights of this side, and that is the Seattle Mariners, in which are having a absolutely unbelievable stretch here this month. As this team was like third or I think maybe even fourth in this division, uh, and they were just kind of clinging to playoff life, and instead we come back here and boom, they're in the lead for the division now. They lead the division 77 and 60. They have completely turned it around. They've been unbelievable. They've had a fantastic stretch, and not only are they in the middle of the playoff race, but they're borderline on top of the playoff race right now. Fantastic uh, stretch here for the Mariners to put them in this position. Uh, what a streak it's been for them. And then, but for Seattle, I mean, Luis Castillo, their starting pitcher, has been fantastic. They've also had a lot of other pitchers do very well. Also, Julio Rodriguez has been really good for them. A lot of players have come through, and especially this month, they have all come together to play some really, really good baseball. And that's why we see a 77 and 60 record for Seattle. What a month! And they needed it for sure, and they certainly got it. Next, we have the Houston Astros at 78 and 61. They've kind of been hovering around a solid record all year long. They've just kind of continued to just be, a consistently good record, and like I said, they've held that all season. And I mean, here they still are. When the Rangers were kind of falling off a cliff a little bit. Houston has, slowly crept closer and closer and closer to the lead. And of course, now they've passed the Rangers, but now they've been caught by Seattle. So I'm sure that's not what they were anticipating, but still a good season for Houston. Some solid pitching, some solid hitting. Overall, a well-rounded team with well-rounded players. They have, of course, some all-stars. Of course, they have a good manager and Dusty Baker. I love Dusty Baker. I know people hate Houston because of the sign stealing scandal. I honestly don't care. If you really were to ask me, do I root for Houston? No. Do I hate Houston? No. I really don't care about the Astros. They're another team to me. Uh, but for Houston, solid team. Could they win it again? Absolutely. Will they? I actually don't think so. Um, I think there's too much talent here in this division, and specifically, I'm talking about the Orioles. The Orioles have been really good in terms of and it doesn't overall, and even Texas. I mean, they have a nasty good offense. Their pitching staff honestly isn't too bad either, and I'm talking about them now, so might as well head to them. The Texas Rangers at 78 and 61. They have slowly yet surely, fallen back kind of down to earth, I guess. I don't know if many people expected the Rangers to be as good as they were early in the year, but slowly yet surely they kind of drifted back farther and farther and farther down the totem pole, and now they've drifted so far back that they're now third in their own division, but they're only a game out of first, so it's not like they have much catching up to do. The Rangers are a really good team, really good offense. Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon obviously headline that offense with guys like Josh Jung and Jonah Heim. Heim got hurt though. I don't know what it was, but he landed on the IL for something, came back, and he hasn't been good since. So hopefully that changes for him. But the Rangers hitting has been really stinking good. And then as for the pitching staff, of course, they signed Jake DeGrom to a massive contract, but he's out for the year, and he's been out for a while. But they've had some other pitchers come in and step in and make some plays. Specifically, Nathan Eovaldi, an MLB journeyman who came out of absolutely nowhere and has been unbelievable for the Texas Rangers. Of course, the Rangers also traded for Max Scherzer. Houston, of course, traded for. Uh, Rangers trade. I was like, wait a minute, I got to check that. Yeah, Rangers traded for Max Scherzer. And then, of course, Seattle traded, or no, not Seattle. Houston traded for Justin Verlander. Getting back Verlander, pretty cool, honestly. Being a Tiger fan, I love JV. Scherzer too. I mean, I love Scherzer, but of course, at the deadline, traded for Max Scherzer. Um, but this Ranger team is good. I think they're going to be a threat in the playoffs. They've kind of struggled here as of late, but and that's probably because to me, I don't think their pitching staff is that special, but their offense is, and I think this team is going to be big time in the MLB playoffs. I mean, obviously, it's kind of in danger with the way they've been playing and with how good this division is. But the Rangers definitely have a chance and definitely are a very good team. We'll have to see if they are able to still push their way into the postseason. And then next we have the LA Angels. My goodness, what a storyline this has been. Went all in at the trade deadline, trading for Lucas Giolito, trading for one of the relievers from Chicago, trading for another reliever from I think it was the Rockies for CJ Crone, trading for somebody else. And then and then there was Hunter Renfroe that they signed way earlier in before in the off season, and they flopped so badly, they released all of them. I've never seen that done before by anybody, and nobody has. No one has seen a team go from we're gonna contend for the playoffs for a title to we're just gonna get rid of everybody. We're gonna tank. And and that's where they are. They literally got rid of every single person because people were saying maybe they would trade Shohei Ohtani to somebody, get an absolute buttload of prospects, which would make sense because it's not like, I mean, outside of Trout and Ohtani, who else do they have? And Trout never stays healthy, so many people thought, it probably makes more sense to trade away Otani. Yeah, sure, he's a once in a lifetime type of player, but you also could get a once in a lifetime return for him from anybody you want, and you would get a stupid amount of prospects that you could infuse into your farm system, and you could get a buttload of players for them. And everybody thought this would be what the Angels do. Nope, they go all in, trade for a billion people. A lot of them suck. Their team in general sucks. They fall completely out of playoff contention, and they dump every single one of them. Unbelievable turnaround. What a failure the Angels have been. There's a lot of hype around this team being so great that they'd finally break their playoff drought curse. Not even close. Absolute flop of a season from the LA Angels. You were to ask me what are the biggest disappointments this year, Angels and Yankees are definitely up there. Then there's another one, but that's National League. And then last and certainly least is the Oakland A's at 42 and 96. Wow, I actually realized their record was just as bad as almost KC's. I thought they were worse. Anyway, the Oakland A's, just like the Royals, I don't think there's much I really have to say. I think their run differential, as you can see, oh my, it got worse. I didn't know that was possible. But just judging on their run differential, I think that should tell you enough about how much of a joke this baseball franchise. I'm not even gonna say team. I'm just gonna say franchise because it's that bad. How much of a joke of this Oakland franchise really is. Um, yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you on the next one. Until next time, adios, everybody.